Louis Thompson, the brilliant mind behind the wildly popular coffee chain Golden Brew, wasn't just a successful CEO, he was a man with a mission. Louis built his business on core values: equality, excellent service, and opportunity for everyone. He wanted every customer to feel welcome and every employee to treat people with respect, no matter who they were. Despite his towering success, Louis never lost touch with the everyday experiences of his customers. He often wondered, were his employees living up to the company's values? To find out, he made an unannounced visit to one of Golden Brew's busiest city branches. But this wasn't just any visit. Louis went undercover, trading his sleek suits for a simple hoodie and jeans. To anyone watching, he looked like just another customer. The moment he stepped inside, the store was buzzing. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air as customers chatted and baristas rushed to fill orders. Louis smiled, excited to see his employees in action. But something quickly caught his attention: a blonde employee standing behind the counter. She wasn't rushing or helping customers. Instead, she was leaning on the counter, scrolling through her phone as a line of customers waited impatiently. Louis stepped forward, his warm smile aimed at the employee. "Excuse me," he said politely. "Could I get some help, please?" The employee, whose name tag read Karen, barely glanced up from her phone. With an exaggerated sigh, she rolled her eyes and muttered, "I'm busy, go wait like everyone else." Louis blinked, momentarily stunned by her rudeness. He stepped back into the line, observing as Karen casually put her phone away and began helping customers. However, Louis quickly noticed a troubling pattern. Karen smiled and greeted white customers with warmth, taking their orders quickly and chatting pleasantly. But when customers of color approached, her attitude shifted. She became cold, dismissive, and rushed them along without so much as a smile. The tension in the room grew as Louis waited patiently. When it was finally his turn again, he approached the counter, determined to see if her behavior was a mistake. "Hi," he said with his usual friendly tone. "I'd like a medium latte, please." Karen didn't look up. "We're out of that," she said flatly. Louis frowned. He had just watched her make the same drink for a customer moments earlier. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Karen crossed her arms and gave him a sharp look. "Try another store," she snapped. The room seemed to fall silent, and Louis felt a mix of disbelief and disappointment. Was this how his employees treated customers when they thought no one important was watching? Without another word, Louis nodded and walked out of the store. He had seen enough. The situation wasn't just about poor customer service, it was about something much deeper and more troubling. As he walked back to his car, his mind raced with questions. How many other customers had experienced this? How many had walked away feeling disrespected and unwelcome? Louis knew one thing for certain: this wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Louis walked out of the store that day without saying a word about who he really was, but inside, he was deeply troubled. This wasn't just about bad service. It was about blatant discrimination, something he had worked hard to keep out of his company. Back at Golden Brew's headquarters, Louis wasted no time diving into the matter. He pulled up customer feedback and employee reports from the city branch he had visited. What he found only added to his frustration. Complaints about rude service and unfair treatment kept popping up, many of them mentioning a blonde employee. Some customers even suggested they felt unwelcome because of their race. It didn't take long to connect the dots. Karen had a history of this behavior. Louis also discovered that Jessica, the store manager, hadn't filed any official reports. Determined to get to the bottom of it, he invited Jessica to a private meeting. At first, Jessica seemed hesitant. She admitted she had noticed Karen's behavior but hadn't said anything. "Karen's popular with some of the staff," she explained nervously. "If I called her out, I was worried it'd cause tension. I didn't want to make things worse." Louis listened carefully, his expression calm but serious. He assured Jessica that creating a fair and welcoming workplace was more important than avoiding conflict. He thanked her for her honesty but made it clear that allowing such behavior to continue wasn't acceptable. With Jessica's cooperation, Louis started planning his next move. 1 week later, Louis returned to the same Golden Brew branch, but this time, he wasn't in casual clothes. Dressed sharply in a tailored suit, he walked in with a small team of executives. The sight of them caused the store to fall silent. Customers paused mid-sip, and employees whispered nervously among themselves. Karen, oblivious to what was about to happen, was chatting with another employee when Louis called for a staff meeting. "Can I have everyone's attention, please?" he said, his voice steady but commanding. The staff gathered in the seating area, their faces a mix of curiosity and worry. Karen leaned against the counter, still scrolling on her phone, until she realized who was speaking. Her eyes widened, and she quickly tucked her phone into her pocket. "My name is Louis Thompson," he began, his tone firm. "I'm the CEO of Golden Brew." Gasps filled the room as Karen froze, her face turning pale. Louis scanned the room, his gaze finally landing on her. "Last week, I visited this store undercover. I wanted to see how customers were treated." He locked eyes with Karen. "What I experienced was unacceptable. I was ignored, dismissed, and lied to. And from the complaints I've reviewed, I'm not the only one." Karen stammered. I didn't know it was you." Louis raised a hand to silence her. "It doesn't matter who I am. Every customer deserves respect, not just the ones you think are important." The room was tense, and Karen's usual confidence had vanished. She muttered weak excuses, but it was clear they wouldn't help her now. Louis finished with a message to the entire team. "Golden Brew was built on the idea that everyone is welcome. This behavior has no place here, and it will not be tolerated." As Karen sat in stunned silence, Louis prepared to deliver the justice she had coming. This was more than a lesson for Karen. It was a statement to everyone about what his company stood for. Louis stood at the front of the room, looking at his employees with a firm yet calm expression. "Let me make one thing clear," he said, his voice steady. "Racism and poor service have no place at Golden Brew. Our mission is to create a welcoming environment for everyone, and that mission will not be compromised." The room was silent, all eyes on Louis. Then, he turned his attention to Karen, who was nervously fidgeting with her name tag. "Karen, your behavior last week and the complaints I've reviewed show a clear pattern of disrespect and discrimination. That is unacceptable, and I cannot allow it to continue." Karen's face turned pale. "Wait," she stammered. "I can change. It won't happen again, I swear." But Louis shook his head. "I gave you the chance to do the right thing with every customer you've served. You chose not to. Effective immediately, you're no longer employed at Golden Brew." Karen gasped, looking around for support, but none of her coworkers spoke up. Louis continued, addressing Jessica, the store manager. "Jessica, I understand the challenges you've faced, but as a leader, it's your responsibility to ensure this workplace reflects our values. I'm giving you the tools to succeed." Jessica nodded, relief and determination in her eyes. Louis explained that she would receive additional training on team management and leadership, along with company-wide support to ensure the store became a positive space for everyone. He then announced a sweeping change across all Golden Brew locations. "Starting today, we're implementing mandatory diversity and inclusion training for every employee. These sessions will focus on treating every customer with respect and ensuring that Golden Brew remains a space where everyone feels welcome. We will not wait for problems to arise. We will address them proactively." Word of the incident quickly spread, thanks to a few customers who had witnessed the confrontation and shared the story online. Social media exploded with posts applauding Louis for taking swift and decisive action against discrimination. Comments flooded in from people who admired his leadership and praised Golden Brew for standing up for its values. The changes Louis implemented began to make a difference almost immediately. Customers noticed the improved atmosphere at the coffee shop, and many expressed their gratitude to the staff. The local community, once wary of the branch, began returning in greater numbers, and business flourished. For Louis, the experience was a reminder of why he had started Golden Brew in the first place: to create a business that not only served great coffee but also stood for something greater. He reflected on the importance of leadership and how one decision could shape the culture of an entire company. One afternoon, as he visited another store, Louis noticed a young black barista working diligently behind the counter. The barista looked up, eyes wide with recognition. "You're Mr. Thompson," he said excitedly. "You're the reason I wanted to work here." Louis smiled, touched by the young man's words. He spent the afternoon mentoring the barista, sharing advice on leadership and success. As they talked, Louis felt a deep sense of pride, not just in the company he had built, but in the example he had set. He knew that real change came from action, and he was committed to inspiring others to do the same. Golden Brew wasn't just a coffee shop. It was a symbol of inclusivity, equality, and the power of doing what's right, and that, Louis thought, was the most important achievement of all.